I've been buying a lot of rice koji lately to use in my videos, and every time I buy a 1 kilogram bag of rice koji, it's costing me about $11 plus shipping. Now that's an okay cost if I were doing this a few times a year, but lately I've been using so much rice koji that I decided that I should probably figure out how to not spend so much money on rice koji. So that means I need to grow rice koji myself. So I've grown rice koji in the past and also other grains with koji on them, but it's always involved carefully regulating moisture and temperature to ensure things don't go bad. And believe it or not, I'm actually kind of lazy when it comes to stuff like that, hence why I tend to just buy koji online. So I wanted to figure out a way to produce a lot of koji really easily. And I think I may have figured out how to do that. Simply put, koji is the Japanese name for steamed rice inoculated with the mold Aspergillus oryzae. That mold is pretty magical, as it's able to turn starch into sugar, and it's also able to break down proteins into amino acids. And because koji is able to do that, it's most commonly used in making sake wine, which is Japanese rice wine, and also miso paste, which is a fermented soybean paste. In sake brewing, koji breaks down the starches in the rice into sugar, which is then converted into alcohol by yeast. And in making miso, the koji breaks down the proteins in the soybeans into amino acids, which gives miso its signature deep umami flavor. Now, there are a few other uses for koji, from using it straight up as an ingredient in cooking, using koji to tenderize meat, and what I've been using it for most lately is making garum. To put it super simply, koji is made by steaming soaked rice, cooling that rice down, and then inoculating the rice with the spores of the Aspergillus oryzae mold. The inoculated rice is set in a temperature and humidity controlled environment to give the mold the best conditions to grow. And if all goes well, in about a day or two, you should have rice koji. Now, the hard part there is the temperature and the humidity control. In the past, I've used a damp cheesecloth draped over the incubating rice to maintain humidity, but I found it just requires that bit more attention because the cheesecloth can dry quite fast. Temperature control is another tough one, as sake breweries usually have an entire temperature and humidity controlled room just for growing koji. Or at a home scale, some people may have an incubator box made just for growing koji, which has humidity and temperature control in the box. Now, we're not really going to be doing any of that. Instead, in this video, I'm going to make rice koji using a Ziploc bag, a hotel pan, and a cheap heat mat. As we come into 2026, I've made the promise to myself that I'm going to go all in on my long-form YouTube videos. I guess you can call that a New Year's resolution, but most New Year's resolutions are forgotten about within the first 2 months of the year. I'm determined to keep this New Year's resolution going for more than 2 months. And I plan to do that by creating habits and routines that will help me keep track of my time and allow me to focus on my goal. Like my routine of every Monday, I'll break down what my goals are for the week, and then break down what tasks I need to complete to achieve that goal. Through these habits and routines, I've noticed myself getting better at things that, quite frankly, had me a little scared or dreading even a few months ago. Repeating these habits until, well, they become habits has meant I'm able to refocus on the next thing I need to conquer in my journey to reach my annual goal. It's gonna take time, but even the thought of it has me excited for where I will be in even just a couple months from now. And it's the same with your mental health and therapy. BetterHelp is a trusted paid partner for this video and can be your simple starting point for therapy going into 2026. Now, therapy is not a quick fix, but it can help you create habits that will give you the space to understand what you yourself need in order to grow and create meaningful and lasting change. With BetterHelp, all you have to do is fill out a questionnaire and you'll be matched with a therapist in just a few days. And if that therapist isn't right for you, then you can easily switch therapists at any time for no extra cost. Join the 6 million plus people who have gotten help from BetterHelp, the platform you can trust, by clicking the link in the description, or go to betterhelp.com/Johnny Kyunghwo and get 10% off your first month of therapy. To start off, I pretty thoroughly washed and then soaked some rice overnight in fresh water. Soaking the rice before steaming is pretty crucial, as it's going to help get it to the perfect doneness. But before steaming, the rice does need to drain for about an hour, and I found it drains better when the sieve is tilted a bit to the side like this. I'll steam the rice for up to an hour, checking it halfway through to turn the rice over and gauge how done it is. It should be like an al dente texture, firm but still chewy. You might be able to get away with cooking the rice to this level of doneness in a rice cooker or a pot, but it's a little bit trickier. Once that rice is done steaming, I'll take it out of the steaming basket and then begin cooling it. And to cool the rice fast, I like to transfer it to a large sieve, turn on a fan to blow some air over the rice, and constantly turn the rice over using my hands. Doing it like this, I found I can cool the rice down to room temperature in about 5 to 10 minutes. And once that rice is room temperature, I'll transfer it to a bowl, break up some of the larger clumps, and then sprinkle the koji spores over the top of the rice. I always tend to just use my judgment for the amount of koji spores to sprinkle over the rice. You don't need a massive amount, but you still want a nice even coating over the top of the rice. Once I've added the spores to the rice, I'll toss it again using my hands and then transfer the rice into a couple of Ziploc bags. So the size of the Ziploc bags doesn't really matter. It just happens that these bags fit perfectly into this size hotel pan that I have. With the Ziploc bags filled about halfway with rice, I'll close the bag about 90% and then start flattening the rice out. That little 10% of unzipped bag will let the air out, but I don't want to push out all of the air. And once I'm happy with how flat the bags are, I'll take something pointy like a skewer or my thermometer and start poking holes into the bag on both sides. This will allow some airflow into the bag while still maintaining the amount of humidity that we need. I end up with 2 Ziploc bags for the rice, which are now ready to go into incubation, which I'll do in this hotel pan, which I've lined the bottom with a grill just to keep the Ziploc bag off the bottom of the pan, which would block the airflow holes. I started off using this smaller pan, but I wouldn't be able to close the lid, so I changed to a deeper pan and also added another little metal grill between the 2 Ziploc bags to allow some airflow in between the Ziploc bags. Now, I need to maintain this at a temperature of 25 to 30 degrees Celsius. Too low and the koji won't grow, but too high and the koji will sporulate, causing it to turn green and release spores, which we do not want. Now, I have 2 ways of incubating the koji, either in my fermentation chamber, which I have rigged up to a thermostat, and will turn on and off this heating cabinet to maintain a perfect temperature, or on this heat mat, which I picked up for about $10 and has a dial to adjust heat. Now, before I use this heat mat for incubating, I set an empty hotel pan with just a little bit of water on this heat mat. I took the temperature inside the hotel pan and I used that as reference on the dial for the ideal temperature for growing koji. Once I knew the perfect dial setting, I simply placed the hotel pan with the koji on the heat mat, close the lid, and I'll leave it for 2 to 3 days to grow. I actually did 2 batches of koji using this bag method. One I did on the heat mat and one in my fermentation chamber, and both turned out perfect. After 2 days of incubation, I checked on the koji and it looks like each grain of rice has a powdery white substance on it, and this is the koji mold growing on the rice. I'd say at this point, this is perfect for my use, since I don't really want like a large fuzzy clump of koji, but you can leave this for another few hours or a day to get a fuzzier koji too. I am, however, going to remove this now and start drying this in a large pan, set outside in a cold, windy day, which I'll come back to every so often to turn the koji over. One thing I will say though is the smell of the koji as I took it out of the bags was super nutty while also being sweet like ripe melon, and it was absolutely fantastic, and it's something I hope everyone can have a chance to smell. So after about 2 days of drying, my koji is ready for use or to store. And just to be safe, I'm going to store my koji in another bag in the freezer. If the koji is dried properly, it should be shelf stable, but I just wanted to make sure my koji lasts, so I'm freezing mine. And with that, my koji is ready to use for sake, miso paste, or garums. But I want to try making something different on my koji. It's something called amasake, and it's a koji rice drink. I've never made it before, but it starts with koji rice in water. I'm going to use a ratio of triple my koji weight in water, and then it needs to ferment at around 60 degrees Celsius for a few hours. And I'm going to do this by putting my jar of amasake in a sous vide water bath at around 60 degrees Celsius. Keeping the koji in the water at this temperature should encourage the koji to break down the starches in the rice into sugars, and if all goes to plan, I should have a nice sweet rice drink. So this amasake has been sitting in the sous vide bath for, I want to say like maybe 3 or 4 hours. The rice has puffed up quite significantly and there's quite a bit of bubbles coming up. I think this should be ready. I looked it up online and it just says only a few hours. Hopefully that's enough. And the next step now is to just blend this up, and then I'm going to filter it to just get rid of any smaller rice pieces, and then we'll give it a taste. That blended up really nicely, but just looking close at the blender, you can see there's lots of little bits on here, which I know are going to be gritty. So I'm going to run this through a filter, pretty fine filter, just to get rid of those gritty bits. And hopefully it should just leave us with like a really nice, smooth amasake. This smells really nice now, like a sort of slightly sweet, nutty rice drink, kind of like a horchata. That sieve was too fine. So I've got a different sieve which should let just the right size bits through and catch the big pieces that will be quite unpleasant to eat. And that is much better now. And that right there is our finished amasake. Got all of the chunkier pieces out, and now it's just sort of like this creamy rice drink, milky drink thing, which doesn't look completely unappetizing, but doesn't look amazing, especially with the thickness. But there's only one way to find out. Let's give it a taste. Wow. You wouldn't think it would be so sweet, but it's so sweet, but it's like not overwhelmingly, like sickeningly sweet. It's just like that perfect level of sweetness for something like this. Really enjoyable while it's warm. I'm curious to see what it's like when it's cold. That would do really well with some seasoning as well. Maybe like a bit of cinnamon or something like that, like a horchata. That could go amazing. And the fact that there is no added sugar in this, just through the power of fermentation, enzymes, and mold, we've made something that's creamy, nutty, slightly sweet, but just really delicious. You know what, even like just a dash of honey, just to make it that ever so slightly sweeter with that honey flavor would make this taste amazing. And I figure at this point you could take this and just ferment this with yeast, and that would kind of make sake, because this is basically now fermentable sugars instead of starch. It's interesting, but it's tasty. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, make sure you go and subscribe if you have not already. And if there are any other suggestions that you might have, go ahead and leave them in the comments and I will read through them. And they could be a part of a future video. But I'll see you in the next video.